and welcome to Reliving My name is Noel. My guest this week is Tim McGovern. Now, Tim was the lead singer of Burning Sensations. They're best known for their cult classic hit, Belly of the Whale. One of the most popular videos back in 1983 on MTV. Problem was, the band got caught up in record company politics with Capitol Records, of course, and they only pressed 15,000 copies of their album, which sold out immediately. Myself, and I'm sure countless others, could not find the album anywhere, so people just knew the song on MTV and just really couldn't find a way to listen to the album. They got caught up in more record company politics by their song being played on the radio, which, besides I think maybe LA and San Francisco, it really wasn't anywhere. I don't remember hearing it on the radio, just seeing the video on MTV. Tim formed Burning Sensation because he was dating the Motels Martha Davis, and he was the lead guitarist in the band. They broke up, he got fired. That's why he started the band. He sets the record straight about what happened with him and Martha. Also discuss what he's up to now. And also we talk about their cover of Jonathan Richman's Pablo Picasso song, which is fantastic. And it was on the soundtrack of the cult classic movie Repo Man. Discuss that. This conversation got pretty deep. Tim really set the record straight on a lot of things. Very candid, and I hope you enjoy my conversation with Tim. So Tim, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so I got MTV back in '83.
Right.
And, yeah, so I was excited.
Started. I think they launched it in
'81. Yeah.
Was it 81 or 82?
Yeah, 81. So
okay.
So I was 8 years old. I don't want to date myself, but I was 8 years old, and I was a big music fan. And I turned on, got cable. I was super excited because I heard about MTV over a year at that point. And
yeah, it was great when it first launched. It was
exactly. Now it's just shit. But the second video I saw on the network was Belly of the Whale.
Right.
And 8 years old, I'm like, what am I watching? This song is so catchy, but the video is like unbelievable. You have like the Michael Jackson lookalike from Billie Jean in the video. You're going down the slide and everything. It's just so much fun video.
it was extremely fun to make, and it was even fun for the crew because we were working with the same people that had done Duran Duran. Um, was it Radio Vox or
Ultravox.
Ultravox?
Yeah.
Thank you, Radio Vox. Ultravox, Duran Duran, a couple other things, and he showed me his work. Jim Yukich was the assistant director to the director who couldn't make it that day. He was off working doing movies or something. So Jim Yukich wound up being the director, but he still had the same assistant director and camera crew and all of that. And we just sat down and said, so how do you want to do this? What we talked about what kind of video were we going to make? And I said, really, I want to, they talked about, girls on film, and let's get boobies. And I go, well, I says, it's not really that kind of song if you listen to the lyrics. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I'm all for, who doesn't like boobies? But
no, of course.
it wouldn't make it would have been gratuitous. So we just went for pretty girls in bikinis and outfits and stuff like that. And I says, well, let's have it take place down in the belly of the whale with everybody else who got swallowed up. So who else might be down there? And then we talked about Gilligan and the skippers,
right?
And, various people that just wound up disappearing, down the belly of the whale. And that's why there's waiters holding lobsters and the fish spitting the water out of the soup. That was my idea because straight out of the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson was Jim's idea. And having a dupe of Martha Davis was also his idea.
Okay.
I said, "Ooh, are you sure? Because the record is that going to offend the powers that be?" Because an interesting thing happened right before we started making the video. Is the person who signed me, Rupert Perry, who had also signed the Motels, got transferred from Capitol over to EMI America to build that up.
Okay.
And then they sent the schmoes from EMI America over to head Capitol. They were Valkyrie and Martha fans and didn't think too much of me without even talking to me,
right.
For obvious political reasons, et cetera, et cetera. But so the guy didn't get the song at all.
Okay.
We played him belly with Don Grierson was his name. He was the new Rupert Perry. And I begged Rupert to take me with him, but the ink was dry. He said he can't. It's too many, bridge too far.
Right.
So basically, I got orphaned, and the new regime just didn't get Belly of the Whale. They, honestly, God, he just said, "Wow, there's nothing like that out there." He's a Brit.
Yeah.
And I says, "Well, I guess kind of being the smart ass, I says, well, I always thought wasn't that the idea?"
Yeah, exactly.
Of original music. And he goes, this fucking left field shit. Well, anyway, so I says, well, he says, well, Rupert, when he signed me, he guaranteed a video. He saw that coming. So he guaranteed, it was part of my contract. They had to produce a video. And I actually got the same ink that David Bowie got. Not the same money,
of course. Yeah.
But the same ink. I mean, we got a good payday, but it was, mostly because of the work I'd done with the Motels. That's how I got signed. I wasn't even signed to Capitol when I was with the Motels. They asked me to. They said, hey, you need to sign a contract. And I said, why? I already got the gig. And they actually got a kick out of that.
Right.
They thought that was funny. And I says, yeah, he makes a good point. And I figure I would establish my worth, and then we'll talk about me signing with Capitol. And of course, I did. And the Motels, I'm just going to straight out and say it. I was the reason they got on the world scene in the map. We got the Cars tour through mutual friends in the pop, and we went out there and we delivered. And then we went to Europe and headlined over in Europe and really delivered. Whereas with the previous guitar player, they had gotten pulled off to tour and told to go home and woodshed, and that's why she kicked him out. And since I was there in her bedroom,
right,
I said, this is a huge step, because if we're in the same band together and in a relationship, it might be a problem. But it's just so much better this way. So we went ahead with it. And anyway, back to Belly of the Whale. So the video itself was a huge success. Actually, we got they had the first in 1983. They had the first MTV Viewers Choice Awards, they called it, and they had everybody vote in from all across the country what their favorite videos. And it was coming up to, it was around December, and somebody says, "Hey Tim, you ought to tune in the MTV Video Awards," And I said, "Nah, I never watched the Grammys. I never watched the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
I watched that stuff." Say, "Yeah, you ought to watch this. Come on, it'll be fun." All right. So apparently whoever said that had the inside skinny that we were going to crack the top 10. And we were in the top 10. We got number 9, and the other 8 spots in front of us were all Duran Duran.
Right.
And I think the Motels video was in there too, around 6 or 5, somewhere around there, not too far from where we were.
Right.
And we were completely unknown. Nobody knew who the hell we were. Even the VJs in the early 70s. So where are these guys? Who are these guys? So everybody thought we were an English band, And then gradually people got the connection between the Motels, because we put, and that was pretty smart on Yukic's part to put a dupe of Martha in the video. I even suggested, well, you could always invite her, but they were all like, "Oh no, that's a bad idea," because we started on really bad terms. I mean, basically, she said, "There's the curb,"
and that's it.
Fuck you,
Right.
And, yeah, I got screwed out of 6 figures, and Rupert Perry, the head of Capitol at the time, the guy who signed the Motels, got on the phone with me and said, "Yeah, between you and Defense Post, you really got screwed." And I says, "Yes, I know. That's kind of how I feel about it." He says, "Well, I'll make a devil's bargain with you here between you and the Fem Post. You put something together, do it soon, anything, I don't care what it is, and you won't have to go through the usual bullshit, I promise you." And so I found this band, Andy and the Rattlesnakes. The lead singer, Andy, was leaving town, going back to New Jersey. LA was proved too much for the man, that kind of thing. And so I went to see them play, and the band was playing, and I thought, these guys are kind of fun, and I really dug the percussionist. It added a different flair to everything they were doing. And so he and I got tight, and we would just, drink a lot of coffee and, imbibe in the herbal realm, and listen to his third world record collection, because anything with percussion on it and the war of daishiki, he had it, all this. And I says, "This is a gold mine. It's an untapped reserve of musical ideas, much like the blues used to be to rock, And we didn't have a term called world beat back then, but we were actually probably one of the first world beat bands. So we were playing Haitian music, Wawanko, oh God, you name it, Senegalese, Ivory Coast type stuff, Nigerian, juju. We were using all of those elements and just kind of rocking it out, and trying to write songs, just slapping some lyrics on it and just go. I just wanted to get back out there in a hurry.
Right.
And Belly of the Whale was came about. I was helping a friend. I had just gotten a boot from the Hotels, and he had this all-girl group. Well, it was a duo, a pair of blondes. He called them the Gaddles. He was Scottish. So I'm trying to remember his name. It'll come to me. But anyway, he was part of the management team of Supertramp.
Okay.
And this is all going to come full circle. So I'm helping those two out. And in return, he gave me some studio time to record some demos. So I demoed up the tracks to Belly of the Whale, but I didn't have any lyrics yet, or even a melody. So I'm on the phone with this guy. God, that's really pissing me off. I can't remember his name, because he was a really good good dude. I'll remember it. But I was saying, yeah, I feel like I've been swallowed up by the vinyl dinosaur, you know. And he goes, yeah, you're in the belly of the beast. And I says, yeah, I feel like Jonah in the belly of the whale. And then I went,
Oh, wow. Okay.
hold on. Can I get back to you in about 20
Yeah.
minutes? Yeah, sure. So I just went down and went, you know, okay, where's the chorus? I feel like Jonah in the belly of the whale. Said, there it is.
Yeah.
There. And the lyrics just wrote themselves. I took the idea of, you know, when Mickey Mouse is down there, or not. Is it Mickey? No, it's Pinocchio. And then lo and behold, Disney winds up putting out a DTV version of it, and with parts of Pinocchio in it and parts of Willie the Whale, and they just synced up a bunch of cartoon footage. I got a nice check for that. That was nice. It all just that video just came together with a lot of fun. We shot it in a little less than 6 hours. We started shooting it. We set up at about well, they were setting up early. They got in around 9, and we all show up. We get out of makeup and about 11:30, and we were done by 6. But the funniest part for me was at the we pretty much shot everything that he felt right, and he says, so what do you think, Tim? And I'm standing there, and the crew's all looking at me. Everybody's just staring at me, and I was wondering why. And I found out later. And I says, no, I'm good. And they looked at each other and like, oh my God, I love him so much. Because every other video they had shot took days because the artist had these visions.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. You know, and I could just picture it, you know, the prima donna thing kicking in. I says, you know, yeah, I don't know anything about making videos. You know, Jim, if you're happy, I'm happy. And he goes, oh yeah. He says, you'll be surprised what I can do in post. I got some people that owe me some favors. So he says, I'm going to really work it up in post. So that's why there's a lot of stuff. I thought, wow, that's really cool. I don't even know how they did that. Like there's the opening sequence where I'm walking and the backdrop is kind of like a moon shining on beaches. They just painted that on the wall. They painted that on the wall and they had me walk by, and he says, all right, I want you to, do you smoke? And I go, once in a while. And he says, walk by with a cigarette, you know, put the cigarette out, look down, stomp on it, look up, smile. So I did that. And as soon as I cracked a smile, the whole crew cracks up and I go, what's the matter? They go, that was great. You know? So it just went like that the whole time. The beach balls flying around, bouncing on people's heads. Yeah. It was a party. It really was. It's exactly the way it looked. And then when we took a lunch break, about halfway through, you know, I'm just sitting over by myself, and all the Playboy bunnies that we had hired to climb the rope ladders and all of that stuff, they all come sit next to me. So I thought, well, this is interesting, you know, and I like this. That's why I helped that gal, you know, I held the rope ladder for her as she climbed up, because I'm a true gentleman. It was a great view. I can still see it now. Yeah. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, I'll get to the motels in a little bit. But after I saw the video, I immediately asked my mom, I was like, can we go get this record? Because I wanted to hear more from, you know, this band.
Right. And you couldn't find it.
Could not find it. And every place. I got a story about that. Why you couldn't find it too. Okay. Please tell me.
Okay. As I said before, Don Grierson did not get the record.
Right.
So we hadn't shot the video yet. We caught Capitol off guard with the video. It was a hit. It was a bona fide hit video. But before all that, he just ordered the minimum pressing. There's at the time there were 3 plants in the country, one in Nashville, one somewhere else, one in Ohio, and that's who pressed all your vinyl records. And there's a queue. I mean, there's a line. You know, you get in line, you wait your turn to get your master, you know, pressed. You know, and depending on who it is, you know, they're going to press 150,000 to usually if a record company believes in a band, they're going to press that many copies, about 150,000 copies. For the first timers, you know, they pressed 15,000 copies.
Wow.
Um, the the video actually hadn't been released yet, but K Rock I don't know if you heard of them, but that was
Yeah.
they pretty much started new wave radio music before anybody. So they were playing the Human League. Oh God, name it, The Cure,
Yeah.
Tears for Fears,
Like Depeche Mode and all that.
yes, Depeche Mode. I was
Mhm.
going to say those guys are, way out front of everybody. Television, all of that. That
Right.
was their scene, and they had two sister stations, one in San Diego and one in San Francisco. 91X in San Diego, and I forget the San Francisco call letters. And they played all that stuff. Well, as soon as Belly of the Whale was quote unquote released, thrown to the wolves, they jumped right on it and played it, and everybody's calling it, oh my God, who's that? Let's play. And well, the 15,000 copies flew out of the store in a few days, and then there were no more.
Wow.
And that's why you couldn't find the record, and you also couldn't hear it on the radio.
Yeah.
There's
I never heard it.
There's another story about that. Simultaneously with the being shit on by Don Gerson, may he rest in peace. I love the fact I outlived that son of a bitch. But anyway, they in their wisdom decided that they had this EP by Duran Duran. It was shot entirely on video, and they were going to release it to MTV first before they released it to radio. Now, at the time, they had it's not like Clear Channel owns all those stations now. Yeah. It was like there were still independent radio program directors, a bunch of them. They had a union or whatever you call it, what you will, an organization, and they had a magazine called R&R, Radio and Recording. And there was an article that came out, and the head guy of the Radio Programmers Guild or whatever it was said, well, if Capitol's going to do that, then, the next time they need airplay for their for a new band, they can go piss up a rope. And guess who was the new band?
I'm looking at them.
we got zero airplay, and we had no copies. So all we had was that video and the local LA station, K-Rock, and San Diego station. So we did fine in that area. And then we went out on tour under our own power, and we got as far east as New Orleans.
Okay.
And I'll never forget this. We were booked with to open up for Madness.
Oh, okay.
Also a K-Rock favorite.
Yeah.
Madness, some call it Madness. Our house in the middle of the street. And a great bunch of blokes. We had a ball. We had gumbo, we drank what's the word? We drank.
Right.
But anyway, we're opening up for them. We're playing on a riverboat. There's about 3,000 college age kids on this boat. Cause you have to understand these riverboats are really big, and it's basically one large deck with, 3 or 4 bars scattered around the perimeter. So we're playing, we open up with a song called Crawfish from the Elvis Presley movie, Kid Creole. It's that boom, 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 boom. It's real New Orleans thing, Crawfish. And the bartenders are, rocking, the boat's rocking. The kids are trying to rock the boat, and it's working. So the boat's rocking back and forth. Everybody's swaying to the music. They're dancing. The bartenders are pouring to the music. And it's just going over gangbusters, right? And so the last song we play, Tempo rips out the conch shell, and boop. All of a sudden, the whole place just goes, oh my God, you're those guys. They're singing along.
Right.
The tits are out. I mean, girls on the guy's shoulders, showing tits, total collegiate Mardi Gras shit, singing along, know all the words. I go, so we finished the song. It says, how come you guys know this song? We're not on the radio anywhere. And they as if on cue, MTV. And I never forgot that, because it was like, oh my God, how fucked did I get? Between Hotels and Capitol, I got, spit roasted by those two entities,
Wow.
and so that's why there was no records, and that's why we had no airplay. That's a true story.
And that's like a terrible business decision. You figured like if the 15,000 copies fly off the shelves immediately, you get an airplay.
Oh,
People,
well, they tried to play catch up.
right?
And by the time they could get another place in line at the pressing plants, it was kind of over, and they put out an LP instead of the EP.
Right.
I told them, I says, why don't you just, print up some more copies of the EP? But by that time, record sales are a funny thing. So since there were no records back then, people would just tape it off the radio.
Yeah.
Or even off the TV, off the MTV.
Right.
So we were probably one of the most pirated songs of all time. There's no stats because you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't track that. I know how many I know we had millions of views on MTV because it was on regular rotation. It was on once an hour.
Right.
We were on as much as Michael Jackson or Duran Duran.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. I got so excited. I was like pissed, like made my mom go all over like Long Island and Queens trying to find that album. Just couldn't, find it. So, but if you want a copy, it's on YouTube. You can listen to it on YouTube.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Anytime it plays, I get 0.0007 cents. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Sirius XM will play it, occasionally on First Wave on that channel.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. That's not now. That's when you talk about program directors. That you have one program director telling every radio station in the country what to play, and the DJs. It's disgusting, really. That's why rock is dead. That's why you don't get to hear a lot of new music anymore.
Right.
It's kind of sad.
Do you have the rights to that album now?
What do you mean?
Like the copy of the masters, are those yours now?
The masters, unfortunately, were destroyed in a fire.
That stinks.
The studio burned, and that actually happened over at. I think it's Chinese lightning. If you get my drift,
right.
That actually happened over at Universal BMI, where I forget who it was, but they police lost their master. A lot of people. There was another. That was a different fire.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, a lot of masters of those that during that period are just lost forever.
Right. No, you ever think about re-recording that album?
Oh, I have. I did some gigs, not the album, just Belly of the Whale. I recut all the tracks and used them as backing tracks and did a couple of gigs. Right after the lockdown came out, I got invited to go on this what was called Lost 80s tour.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I got to, get up and sing my song over some backing tracks with a couple of musicians sort of playing along to it.
Yeah.
And it went over really well. I was planning to do a 40-year release, but now it's 41 years. So the math is a little off. But yeah, I'm thinking of re-releasing it. I did re-release the original on so it is on iTunes and Spotify and all that now.
Right. Yeah. Because
that's the original version. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the EP. I mean, I was finally able to. I'm sorry, the LP. I was finally able to hear it. Because they have it on YouTube, and there's some great songs on there. I love. So Maria is great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. We just, honest to God, I mean, I don't mean to denigrate it at all, but we really literally just slapped it together to try to play catch up. But like I said, it was just too late. Everybody already had a copy of the hit off the radio, so they didn't feel the need to run out and buy it by that time. You know, we're talking by August. You know, so it came out in May of '83, and you know, by August it was the record buying public already had a copy of it somehow, so there was no need to buy it.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah. How did the cover of Pablo Picasso come about for Repo Man?
Oh, okay. There's another funny story behind that. So we're on the wane. All we have is an MTV video, and nobody knows really who we are. The record company's about ready to drop us because they had to come up with a yet another video contractually, you know, which they're kind of expensive. And with the conversation I had with Mr. Grierson at that time was, you know, I said, I mean, what's going on here? You know, that was my question. And at any rate, they just summarily just let us go. New Year's Eve of that year, so we're talking 1983, 1984, that New Year's Eve, we're slated to play at Madame Wong's Chinatown. And of course, there's New Year's Eve gala gigs all over Los Angeles. So we set up to play, and there's 6 people in the club. It's pretty depressing.
Right.
And you know, we're all feeling like, okay, that was a nice ride. And at the time we had been covering Pablo Picasso all along, really. We've been doing it for quite a while because I always got a kick out of the song. Yeah. We just did a weirder version of it, you know.
Some people try to pick up girls, get called an asshole. This never happened to Pablo Picasso. Why, he could walk down the street. Girls could not resist his stare. Pablo Picasso was never called an asshole. Not like you. Now the girls would turn the color of an avocado when he'd drive down the street in his Eldorado. Why, he was only 5'3". Girls could not resist his stare. Pablo Picasso was never called an asshole. At New York. Some people try to pick up girls get called an asshole. This did not happen to Pablo Picasso. Why? He could walk down the street. Girls could not resist his stare. Subsequently, Pablo Picasso was never called an asshole. No. Not around here. Not like you. Pablo Picasso was never called an asshole. Not like you.
Oh, by the way, Jonathan Richman said our version was his favorite.
Oh, good. I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that. Nice.
Yeah. Well, to go back to the Motels thing, Jonathan Richman's band, their drummer was David Robertson, who is the drummer for the Cars.
Okay.
So he wound up playing in the Pop for a while before he moved back to Boston and formed that band. So that was the connect. That's how we got. It was through him. That's how we got the Cars tour.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, they came to see us. The Motels. They came to see us, and I took him back to the bar and I says, "How'd you like it?" And he says, "It was a really good show, man. I appreciate it." I says, "Well, what do you think? Cars, Motels, chick singer, non-threatening."
Yeah.
And he's smiling. And he goes, "Well, I'll talk to my manager, And next day, you're on the tour. You got it. You got the gig.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was because of who, the pop, the whole pop connection,
Right. Yeah. No, I saw the Cars, what was it, maybe 12, 13 years ago when they
This
toured?
was 1980 was that year we went on tour with the Cars.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I was lucky enough to see them at least when Rick was still alive, but Benjamin Orr had already passed away.
Oh yeah, you missed the real Cars because he was half away. He was the Babe Magnet. He was
Right.
the
Yeah, no, he was great.
He had that great croony voice, real good bass player. It was a
Yeah.
good band. I mean,
It really was. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were great live.
Yeah.
Great live. Roy Thomas Baker produced the record, so they had those Queen style harmonies,
Yeah.
Yeah. But we opened up for them, and we anytime we got a review on the show, it's like, well, this is the opening band. It's rare that an opening band just about blows off the headliner, but it was close.
Yeah.
They put on a hell of a show, and that's when I was trying to make them a rock band. I was trying to make them arena worthy. So we held our own in 20,000 seaters. We held our own, opening up for the Cars, and more than held our own when we went off to Europe.
Yeah. Were you with Martha before you joined the band?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Before, during, and obviously not after.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Did your paths ever cross after you got, guys kind of separated or no?
No.
No. Okay. I had her on a few years ago on the show.
Yeah. She was for the longest time, she was running me down pretty bad. She was painting me out to be the white Ike Turner or something. It was the reason we split up because I wanted musical control and all of that stuff. Bunch of garbage.
Is that what the third album with the Apocalypso? Is that what happened? Kind of the breaking point?
Yes, we were in the studio. We were trying real hard. There was Val Garay was shoving cocaine up her nose. He wanted his very own Linda Ronstadt. He used to work for Peter Asher, who produced all the Linda Ronstadt stuff. So he saw this as his opportunity to wrest WREST her away from my control, quote unquote. But that's not what broke us up.
Okay.
That's not why our relationship failed. It had nothing to do with musical direction or anyone to control the direction of the band. It was her band. It was always her band. When she came and says, "Hey, I got this song," and then she started playing on a piano, and I said, "God damn it, I think we got a single here," and that was Only the Lonely. And I called Val Garay over and says, "Come on over here, man." And he comes over and she plays it for him, and I go, "What do you think?" And he goes, That's a good song. So let's do it. All right. So we demoed it up, and I think that's the version you hear on. Well, actually, we demoed a bunch of we recorded a bunch of stuff in the bedroom there. I'm not sure if the demo version of Only Lonely's on there or not, but there's some other stuff on there as well that they somehow she had still had a copy of my TAC cassette 4-track tapes that we recorded.
Right.
And they actually released them on that album. But I'm not sure why she felt it necessary to paint me out as that, considering the real reasons that we were growing apart.
Do you think it was her, or you think it was someone like influencing her?
Well, yeah, definitely. Valgaray was in her ear with the Coke spoon. The reason I know this is because I had spies on the inside after I'd left. They shall remain nameless, but I knew what was going on.
Right.
And Valgaray's wife at the time, bride, I should say, was Monique St. Pierre, and she was the Playmate of the Year that year. Okay. So he's riding high. He's married to the Playmate of the Year. He's got the #1 hit with Betty Davis Eyes, which is the reason I picked him. I picked him.
Right.
I picked Valgaray to produce the record. Reinhold Mack wanted to do it, but he had a couple of projects that he had to do first. I listened to Betty Davis Eyes, and I thought, I think this is our guy. I think that sound, I think, that modern keyboard influenced sound, it just seemed like a good fit. Plus, anybody with the #1 record, for the next record he produces is going to get some attention.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So it was a strictly business position for me. I didn't particularly care for the guy, and I'm sure vice versa. We both had strong personalities. Let's put it that way. What was the question?
Oh no! I was just like
I get lost when I start thinking about this stuff because it was a traumatic time.
Right. No. And I apologize if there's anything you don't want to talk about. I totally understand. No, it's just if like Martha, was influenced about like the reasons why, your relationship broke up.
Okay. Well, no, that was part of it. The main reason had to do with her, well, she's deceased now. So I'm not saying it's fair game, but it's safe to talk about because she was innocent at the time. But Martha was paying really good money to send her to a private school in Encino. And Maria started acting oddly. I recognized all the signs. I knew she was having sex with somebody, walking with her head down, moody, standoffish. But she's 14, and Martha, who got pregnant with Maria at 13, felt like she really couldn't say anything. And I says, listen, this isn't you. She's not your pal. We're not pals here. You're her mother, what you need to get to the bottom of this. Well, we get to the bottom of it, and it's her freaking art teacher.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And the guy's 24, 25, and she's 14. And I'm livid. I'm livid. I call the guy up. I tell him, I said, you need to back off. I said, I don't want to call the authorities because I said, dude, you won't make it a day in the joint. They'll kill you. They will.
Right.
And he was kind of a beta boy anyway, well, anybody that's in the 24 and they're going to bang their 14-year-old student. Yeah. Now, to be fair, Maria was a classic Lolita archetype.
Okay.
Manipulative, very pretty, mature physically for her age, et cetera, et cetera. But she still hadn't grown into her feet yet, and it was the principle. I was like, are we just going to stand down here? And that's kind of was Martha's stance. Stand down. And I go, no, fuck no. And the anger built up to the point where I was just like, I was asked to move out on Christmas Day.
Hmm.
You know, Maria and Martha just sat there and looked at me, you need to move. I went, okay. So I moved out. Martha and I were still seeing each other, but anytime she came over, as long as that was going on, I was just not happy about it. Really not happy about it. And no, I never beat her up or anything that she was trying to. She was always intimating that it was, I was just this controlling Ike Turner type guy, and it's I'm sorry, that's just I need to clear that up, before I die and before she dies.
No,
So
absolutely.
fuck you very much, Martha, for all of those things you said about me, But that's why we broke up.
Okay.
It was over Maria.
Right. Yeah. Were you after the band left, did you kind of like follow their success after that? Were you kind of jealous at all or no?
I couldn't unfollow it. It was
Everywhere, right?
And while I was still in the band, they had come and I says, you don't think they called us a meeting and they says, well, we still don't hear a single. I says, you don't think Only Lonely's a single? And they said, no, we don't. I says, well, what do you want to do? We've reached the end of our budget. And he goes, money's not a problem here. Get back in, write some more songs. So we get back in, and instead of coming up with new material and doing everything, Val Gray starts re-recording everything. And I said, what are you doing? A remix, fine. Actually, all that shit needed was a better mix. I think he mixed it dark on purpose between me and the Fence Post, because he got the double the recording budget. He got it. It was just more money for him.
Right.
And more of an opportunity to start really wedging in between me and Martha, business wise and all that. He wanted to manage the band, this, that, and the other thing. I think he did for a while. Yeah, it was. I didn't follow. Was I envious of their success? No, I knew they were set. I'm the one that helped set it up for their success. With the Cars tour and the European tour, we delivered a show. If you go to any Rock Goes to College on MTV or YouTube, there's live video of us playing, and it's a completely different motels than people got to see ultimately. In 1980, we were a rock band.
Yeah, you were.
We were in a lounge act, and that's what it became. And she went right back to that tragic posing shit, and it's just like, oh, okay, I could see where that was going. Nowhere.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was already written in stone. But we had a conversation with Rupert after I gotten the boot, and Rupert Perry told me what he told me, which is, you don't have to go through the usual bullshit. So the first meeting I had with him about the Burning Sensations, we sat and we talked, and he goes, well, I really liked what I saw and heard. I love that, silly song of yours, Belly, whatever it is, Billy the Whale or something. He's taking a piss,
Yeah.
He and I got along great always. He was a fan, and he goes, so tell me, what do you think of the new Motels record? Are you shitting me? You're gonna
put you on the spot there.
Yeah. And I said, without hesitation, I says, well, I think you paid twice the money for basically the same record, and is Only Lonely still a single? And he just smiled and nodded.
Yeah.
And the next day I got the call, you're signed,
Right.
draw up a proposal,
Yeah.
So I drew up a contract that made sure that everybody in the band got a monthly wage, and same as I got, we split it even, Steven. Instead of big cash up front, I just put it on a monthly basis, so they loved it. They loved that proposal, and it was Rupert's idea to make sure we did a video.
Okay. Yeah.
That's him. He was a visionary guy. He signed the Chili Peppers. He signed Little Steven and Disciples, but Chili Peppers, and who else? There was a whole slew of What label is Jane's Addiction on?
I'm not sure.
But anyway,
Okay.
yeah. Well, Dave Jordan was the engineer. He worked on Us, and he got the Jane's Addiction album because he played our version of Maria, and they loved that percussion. Okay. Yeah.
How'd you come up with the band name?
When we were on tour with the Motels, I would always look at who's playing locally and try to go out and see local bands. And there was one band called the Wild Accusations.
That's a great title.
That's hilarious. It's a lot of letters for the marquee, but I just thought that was a great name for a band. Wild Accusations, you know. And I think that's how it was just something like that, you know. I think I wanted to just call it. It was just a joke name for now until we thought of a real name, and I never did. So
yeah. You got any plans like to do any more of those 80 shows?
Well, I'm singing at the House of Blues in Anaheim February 24th.
Okay.
So that's next week, next Saturday. So that's through some friends, this band, 80s band called the Reflex. I don't think there's a the.
Okay.
They started out as a Duran Duran tribute band, but then they
branched
cover
out
things, but they're really popular down there. And then they came up with this business idea of finding people like me and other 80s singers, you know, to come down for a fee and see. In other words, they can't hire Depeche Mode or something like that. You know, or even lesser acts, you know, it's just cost prohibitive, but they can do that kind of a thing.
Right.
So I think I'm there with Romeo, the girl from Romeo Void.
Oh yeah, Deborah.
Deborah.
Yeah.
I like that. Deborah.
Yeah, I had her on last year.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah.
I always loved that record, you know.
Yeah.
I liked it better if we slept together.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Love the guitar part, just clanking away on the harmonics, you know. Clink, 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 clink.
Yeah, it's great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, because we were trying to do something different, you know, something besides, you know, Foreigner, you know.
Yeah. Do you have any input of what songs you perform for that?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you have any input like on what songs you perform, or they kind of tell you which ones they want you to sing for that show?
Well, it's got to be Belly of the Whale, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, besides that,
I'm a one-hit wonder. Well, the last time I sang for them, we did 4 songs. We did Pablo Picasso. That's our other bona fide hit.
Yeah.
And but I didn't. That's the only 2 I did from Burning Sensations, and then I did Folsom Prison Blues, but by Johnny Cash, and Smoke 2 Joints.
Right.
Kind of the Sublime version, but you know, a little crazier.
Yeah.
Cool. It went over great. You know, people liked it.
Nice.
Well, they're having me back, but I'm just doing the one song this time.
Right. Okay.
They're having instead of just one artist, they're having several. I know it's me and Deborah, and I don't know who else, to be honest.
Right.
It's kind of an influx kind of a deal.
Right. Yeah. I usually ask like where the artist was the first time they heard one of their songs on the radio, but I'll ask you where you were the first time you saw your video on MTV, if you remember.
That's a good question. I think I was home. I think I was watching MTV, and there it was. And I went, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like anytime it turned it on, it was on. And I thought, oh, well, at least somebody likes it, you know.
Yeah, right.
Because this record company sure as hell didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that had not the powers to be in London, you know, EMI, you know, had they not decided to put Rupert over at EMI, and if he was still at Capitol, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You know what I mean? It would be an entirely different conversation.
Right. No, absolutely.
And where's my Lamborghini?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my joke. You know?
Yeah, I actually would have had the album in my collection.
You would have had you would have definitely had an EP and probably, you know, other material too.
A couple more.
Yeah. He would stick with an artist. He would at least 3 albums. You know, he would hang in there, and and make you go out on tour, which is, I love going out on the road. So, I love playing live,
Yeah.
It's my thing anyway. I always felt I'm not much of a singer, and I always felt like to be truly successful, I would have had to find a writing partner and another singer. I didn't want to work with another female.
Right. I can see.
Again, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Just because I'm too sexy for my shirt.
Yeah. 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 But Tim, this was great. I thank you so much, for this, because I've been a fan of this song for 40 years now. And
Yeah.
And I'm glad I was able to talk to you. I'm glad you
Well,
cleared the air on certain things, so that was good too.
And the song does reflect the pain of that period, that I was going through, getting, losing my gig, losing my girlfriend.
Yeah.
By my girlfriend, the whole,
right.
getting snubbed by the record, the whole thing, it's just like, I felt like thrown in the belly of the whale. And I know I wasn't alone. I'm not the only one who's gone through those kind of things. So I wrote those simple, silly lyrics, and that's my favorite story about the song. I'll leave it with this: is our last gig as a band was out at the Palomino in the valley out there, and we finish up. The guys are saying, "Yeah, I guess we're done. We'll see you later." I said, "All right, blah blah blah." And afterwards, there's this young girl. She's about 15. And she goes, I just wanted to say that I live in Motel Hell. Are you aware of this legend?
No.
There was a building, a vacant office building, and it had a series of basements on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, deepest, darkest Hollywood, like not 2 blocks from the Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Right.
Big white building. And it was called Motel Hell. That's what all these runaways were down there living in deplorable conditions, subject to predators and drugs. And it was bad. It was a seriously bad homeless situation with underage kids who'd been through horrible things. That's why they were runaways.
Right.
And they loved that song. That song, they pulled together bus fare for her to ride the bus out to the Palomino to make sure that she was their spokesperson to tell me personally, thank you for the song. It gave them hope.
Oh, wow.
I was speechless. I didn't even know what to say. I said, "Yeah, can I arrange for you a ride back?" She goes, no, I'm good. I'm covered.
Wow.
These kids were tough. They'd been through so much and so young at such a young age. Probably mostly, some sort of abuse at home, that they already were running from something terrible to live in those conditions. That was moving. So St. Peter, when my day comes, at least, what's that line from that song? I must have done somebody good sometime.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that. At least I did that. You know what I mean?
Right. But Tim, thanks again.
You're welcome.